Hello everyone and welcome. You are watching Eagle News. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot coming to you from Washington, D.C. It is Saturday, October 30th, 2021, here in the nation's capital. Today's stories. Social media companies have had a rough week.
Ad users, especially
Several reports for Correspondent-At-Large with Thomas Likness. For Learning Curve, Phillip Toledo reports about President Biden's major education investment with the Build Back Better framework. For Mind Your Business, Bobby Soriano tells us about the work-from-home movement. Is it staying or going? For Down to Earth, Melissa Potis tells us about the new global prize for the environment, the Earthshot Prize. For Embassy Files, Arlene Ocampo takes us down Embassy Row in Washington, D.C. For Color My World, Kathleen Gregorio tells us about murals and local art, inspiring community movement in a city in Texas. For OceaniaAtAGlance, the Sustainability Center in Townsville, Australia, educates the public on home resilience and biodiversity. Plus, for Behind the Counter, Ika shares with us her recipes for bruschetta and apple galette. Our coverage begins now. It's been a rough week for social media companies here in the United States. Popular social media networks found themselves on the hot seat as U.S. lawmakers grilled them over online safety, specifically the welfare of children who use their apps. Representatives of TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube faced Congress during a hearing convened by the Senate Subcommittee on Consumer Protection, Product Safety, and Data Security. The social media platforms tried to convince senators that they do no harm and argued they strive to protect the mental health of users. Senator Marsha Blackburn questioned if this was true. She said, "For too long, we have allowed platforms to promote and glorify dangerous content for its kid and teen users," and asked, how long are we going to let this continue? The renewed focus on the potential harm of social media apps came about after a whistleblower claimed that Facebook, particularly its Instagram platform, can have a negative effect on children's mental health.
Flood of viral, misleading, and harmful information.
Still reeling from the revelations of the whistleblower and the leak of internal documents, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that Facebook has changed its parent company name to Meta. In a statement, the company said Meta's focus will be to bring the metaverse to life and help people connect, find communities, and grow businesses. The company describes the metaverse as a successor to the mobile internet and is a set of interconnected digital spaces that lets people do things they can't do in the physical world. According to social media giant, the metaverse will create a feeling that you're right there with another person, no matter where you are in the world. According to the company, the Facebook app will retain its name. Days after the Alec Baldwin tragic shooting incident during a movie rehearsal, calls for stricter gun control on film sets arise. This story and more from Thomas Likness, our correspondent-at-large.
An American film director wants to see gun control on movie sets. Bandar Al-Buliwi says the accidental shooting of Halyna Hutchins on a film set 10 days ago should never have happened. He's launched a petition to ban firearms on film sets. So far, 75,000 people have signed it. Al-Buliwi goes a step further. He says movie producers have to set a better example. He says there's too much shoot 'em up on the screens, both big and small.
I think Hollywood could take the initiative to help curb this violence that's happening in the USA, in the States. I mean, I think our depiction with violence and weapons and guns, it's because people see this on the screen. These shootouts, these bank robberies, all of that. I think once Hollywood adapts, and hopefully they wake up and they adapt this to stop depicting violence so much on screen, maybe there'll be less violence in the States.
No doubt about it, the love affair many Americans have with firearms leaves thousands of people dead every year. Nearly 20,000 people died in gun violence last year. Another 24,000 used a gun to commit suicide. COVID-19 now. This time, what's happening on the other side of the world? COVID infections in Russia at an all-time high now. The government has shut down all non-essential services until November 7th. Only shops selling food, medicine, and other essentials are allowed to remain open. Everything else is closed. Health officials blame stubbornness by the Russian people, the majority of whom are rejecting the country's homegrown Sputnik vaccine. Only 1 out of 3 Russians has been fully vaccinated. The virus, well, it's winning the war in Eastern Europe. And here's a good news story. I want to tell you about 19-year-old Emmanuel Tulo. He's been named the Integrity Ambassador. Integrity Ambassador of Liberia, a country in West Africa. Let me tell you what happened. He saw a bag laying on the street. It was stuffed with money, $50,000 worth. Emmanuel heard a radio broadcast from the businesswoman who lost the cash, begging for its return. But his friend said, no, keep it. Emmanuel says, no, I was not raised that way. You know, times are tough in Liberia. About half the country earns less than $1.90 a day. Emmanuel, well, he makes his living driving a motorcycle. It's not a high-paying job. But you know, his honesty impressed the president of Liberia. He offered Emmanuel a $10,000 reward for his honesty, as well as a scholarship to the master's level. And he topped that by naming the teen Integrity Ambassador with a $500 monthly salary. Kind of restores your faith in people. Thomas I. Likness, Correspondent-At-Large, Eagle News.
Thanks, Thomas. An educational framework that includes free and universal preschool for all 3- and 4-year-olds, and what the Biden administration calls the largest expansion of free schooling since public high school was established a century ago, is under negotiations. For Learning Curve, Phillip Toledo reports.
On Thursday, U.S. President Joe Biden announced his administration's Build Back Better framework that has been in negotiations with lawmakers for months. The president has stated he believes this $1.7 trillion package has a chance to pass based upon a variety of different investments. Education is a major focus, and Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona took to Twitter to offer his support for what he states would be the largest investment in child care and early education in history, benefiting more than 20 million children in the United States per year. Democratic Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi called Biden's plan transformative.
This is quite remarkable. And if you took any one piece of it, it would be transformative and historic. Taking together, it's quite a spectacular vision that President Biden has put forth. I salute him for it.
The framework includes a plan to offer free and universal preschool for all 3- and 4-year-olds, which the White House says is its largest expansion of free schooling since public high school was established about 100 years ago. According to them, preschool costs on average $8,600 per year, but research shows that quality early education leads children to do better in school and earn more money as adults. The framework also aims to lessen the financial impact of childcare on families. According to the White House, this plan will cover 9 out of 10 families with small children across the country, which will hopefully increase the number of parents entering into the workforce or higher education, providing, quote, lifetime benefits for children. The president spoke to his plan earlier this week, as well as addressing opponents concerned about raising taxes to pay for the $1 trillion framework.
Under my plan, no middle-class family will spend more than 7% of their income on child care. We also extend historic middle-class tax cuts for parents by expanding the child care tax credit. Everybody talks about children, and Josh has heard me say it. I view it as a tax cut for middle-class families. A tax cut. We never have an argument when we talk about the wealthy. This is a tax cut. It changes the lives of the American people.
Phillip, Toledo, Learning Curve, Eagle News.
Thanks, Phillip. It's time for Mind Your Business. Bobby Soriano speaks to some working individuals to find out what they think about the work-from-home movement. Is it here to stay or just about ready to end? Take a look.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first segment of Mind Your Business, where we are dedicated to discussing the latest news moving the markets and business trends that could be affecting your workplace soon. And one of the biggest trends in business that doesn't seem to be going away is the work from home movement. And it is indeed a movement with 35% of American employees, or approximately 50 million people, having some form of working from home schedule at the height of the pandemic. Now, even as things return to normal, recent data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics suggests that 13.4% of working Americans still work from home as of this past August. We speak to some of our viewers who have had their careers changed by their new remote status.
Personally, my productivity has shot right up because I'm able to just concentrate and work at my own pace and get things done. I get things done a lot better.
So working from home, I would say productivity has been about the same as opposed to working in an office. I will say that it was a bit of adjustment working from home as opposed to going into the office, just because there's more distractions when you work from home, whether it be like your dog or, you know, people in the house, things like that.
I think that working from home is going to be a permanent thing for most companies, but for other companies, they're probably going to be going back to the offices because they just work better that way. But I think the majority of companies will be able to, I think the majority of companies have been adapting to a remote sort of working environment and allowing their employees to do everything from home. I mean, honestly, it's easier, it's cheaper all around to just not having to rent out as much space. A little bit harder on IT, if I might say, because working in the IT world, we do have to manage a lot of those on-site.
So I think moving forward, working from home will be a permanent thing rather than a temporary, just because of the way the world is now. More companies have adapted to either work from home, fully remote, or the hybrid model, which is, you know, part-time working from home, part-time in the office. I believe that's where the future's headed, but we'll see.
Now, companies such as Google, Microsoft, and Zoom are betting big that employees such as our viewers will continue past the pandemic in searching for remote work opportunities, with the tech titans recently announcing better collaborative tools for remote workers. And with another 10 million plus job listings on LinkedIn that feature some form of working from home, it might be time for many to seriously consider a job change. Reporting from New York for Mind Your Business, this is Bobby Soriano, Eagle News.
Thanks, Bobby. Meanwhile, 5 Save the Planet designs have been awarded the first Earthshot Prize, a global prize promoting Earth repair in the next decade. Earthshot Prize is the brainchild of and championed by Prince William. Here's Melissa Potes for Down to Earth.
Prince William has long been an advocate of climate change, where the Duke of Cambridge believes that the actions we choose or choose not to take in the next 10 years will determine the fate of our planet for the next generation and generations to come.
So the next 10 years, really, the scientists and the experts are saying that it's the decade of change. We need to really ramp up our efforts to change the way we live and become more sustainable, more green. Because beyond 2030, effectively, the damage will be there. We won't be able to turn it back.
Last week, the inaugural Earthshot Prize, created by the 39-year-old, awarded 5 winners on their efforts to save the planet.
What's different about the prize is, like I say, it's about this optimism. It's about this idea that we can find solutions and we can drive change. And there are wonderful people doing incredible things around the world, all in small communities everywhere. one of them might have an amazing idea. We can scale that up and we can use that to really tackle some issues.
The 5 winners with projects from the Bahamas, Costa Rica, India, Italy, and the joint Thai-German-Italian team were chosen for their innovative solution to the many environmental challenges plaguing our planet. Each team received a £1 million prize and access to a wide-reaching community of support. Melissa Potas, Down to Earth, Eagle News.
Thanks, Melissa. Here in the nation's capital, have you ever wondered how embassies of dozens of countries connect with their neighbors? For our first of many ambassadorship stories, here's Arlene Ocampo for Embassy Files.
So many things to see, so little time. Well, you gotta make time. Here in the nation's capital, there are hundreds of things to see and do. From dozens of museums to visit, a lot of which offer free admission, to various memorials and monuments throughout the city, and to other structural buildings that include the embassies. All are located here in the heart of the district. Washington, D.C. is one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world. The city houses international cultural centers, ambassador residences, and more than 175 embassies. Embassies are the headquarters for a country's diplomatic mission abroad, whether it be social, political, or cultural. Each embassy is led by an ambassador. He or she is the representative for the United States President to the host country. This is comparable to a CEO of a corporation. The main purpose of an embassy is to help American citizens who travel to or live in the host country, whether it be for education, business, or tourism purposes. These embassies are dispersed throughout the city, although the majority of them are located in what is called Embassy Row along Massachusetts Avenue from DuPont Circle toward the National Cathedral. With proper planning, you can visit these embassies. There are walking tours that you can take and learn more about them here in Washington, D.C. Some of the embassies also offer events where you can experience their culture through art, food, and music. You can also attend cooking classes and musical performances. There are a variety of events offered to the public. Whatever country you'd like to visit, or whatever you may find favor in doing, there is definitely an embassy that would spark your interests. Stay tuned to our next report for more about the embassies here in the nation's capital. Arlene Ocampo, Embassy Files, Eagle News.
Thanks, Arlene. Looking forward to experiencing what these embassies have to offer. On to other stories. The Inspire movement in a city in Texas. Murals and local art are making waves in the streets of Garland. To find out more, we have Kathleen Gregorio for Color My World.
Our story brings us to North Texas, where murals and local art are making their mark on the community by encouraging interaction and participation here in the city of Garland, Texas. In recent years, a growing art movement has been blossoming in the city of Garland. Today, we join Texas residents Connie Gelano and Kimberly Bui, childhood friends who grew up in Garland, as they take in the recent revitalization of downtown Garland.
This is my first time in downtown Garland for a long time.
For how many years?
I want to say 15 years. So all this art stuff is new to me too. So I'm touring with you.
This historic downtown square combines old buildings that house new businesses, from boutiques and restaurants to coffee shops and a central green space for picnics, outdoor dining, live events, and festivals. All around the square, art seems to bloom in every nook and cranny.
The trash bins are all painted by local artists to beautify the city, and that was part of the Cultural and Arts Festival that was here a couple of weeks ago.
In 2019, a community mural project was launched at 506 Art in the historic downtown Garland Square, where local artists commissioned by the city invited residents and their families to help paint murals as a community
Really
project.
happy that I'm investing myself into this community because I see it really coming up and becoming something that's going to be really beautiful in the next few years. Yeah, I made my mark, bro.
Anything we can do to just get people out, get people outside, get people together, I mean, this is perfect.
So it's a great way for us to be involved here with our community and leaving our mark here, because that's what we're all placed on this earth to do.
The city slogan, Make Your Mark, celebrates the cultural diversity of Garland and is a reminder for others to move forward and fulfill their dreams.
Coming back to your old hometown and seeing these revitalizations. How does it feel? Like, what's your reaction?
A sense of peace and proudness that they cleaned up downtown Garland so well. I mean,
what do you think of the art scene?
Love it.
So what is this?
Like take one, take a book and share a book. Somebody needs it more than me. So.
Visit GarlandTX.com now offers a public art self-guided walking tour app on its website that includes a map of all the art pieces, sculptures, and murals, some dating back to 1994. The tour is free to the public and offers families a way to enjoy the outdoors, discover local artists, take Insta-worthy selfies while exploring and learning about the city.
The artwork just gives Old City life, like a rebirth, but it still has that old world charm feel to it. So it's like an integration of old and new. Such a beautiful place to visit.
Meanwhile, why not take some time to check with your own local city government and discover the art programs available near you? Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Color My World, Garland, Texas, Eagle News.
Thanks, Kathleen. Now let's head over to Australia for information about things we must factor in when making decisions concerning our living conditions, from what vehicles to use to how to construct our homes, and things we can commit to in order to understand habitats and habits of other species sharing our environment. For Oceania at a Glance, Morgan Goodfellow in Townsville, Australia reports.
The Sustainability Centre here in the Rose Bay area of Townsville has held an open day to introduce people to the underlying issues of home resilience and biodiversity. This event included education pertaining to the enhancements of home living, reducing home costs, and building resilience, further giving us an insight to the initiatives of companies such as EV North, the Rose Bay Sustainability Centre, and Lixia.
This event is part of the National Sustainable House Day activities, but we do generally hold about 4 open days here a year, so this is just one of those, and we open up the facility. We invite different partners down to share with people about how they can live a more sustainable life in Townsville, whether it be energy efficiency in the home, solar, batteries, water usage, looking after the environment, learning about our native flora and fauna. So we've got Deb Carter from Fight for Flight, which is a not-for-profit that does eagle rescue. We've got hands-on wildlife as well, teaching people about estuarine crocodiles, different snakes, gliders, all of those local species we get in our area and how to protect them. Then we also have BirdLife Australia as well, and Tangaroa Blue and Reef Jet. The purpose is just to highlight what people can do in Townsville to reduce their power bills, reduce water use, learn about their environment in general. We have a great place here in Townsville. You know, we've got the reef off our doorstep, where we've got the Wet Tropics World Heritage Area all within our local government area. We've got internationally protected wetlands, we've got amazing species. So it's just allowing people to connect with that in a single location that's open and accessible. I've personally been running this now for 10 years or more. Generally since about 2008 we've been opening this up, and I've been looking after the last 10 years worth.
We've got a range of electric vehicles, both made by Mitsubishi and also converted by myself. EV North, we actually take existing vehicles and we convert them from the ICE motors and we convert them into electric vehicles and actually get to reuse them. EV is electric vehicles, the company itself, EV North, Electric Vehicles North Queensland. So we service and we sell and service in North Queensland to the EV market.
We're promoting the use of sensors for some data-driven decision making in multiple different areas, be that from local government, electricity utilities, and from ports to airports basically. It's an awareness raising thing, yeah. So councils do a lot of really great stuff and it's really hard for them sometimes to get the word out there. So having events like this one is a really great opportunity.
Other programs such as the Fight for Flight lecture was held coherent to the Open Day, giving instruction to Australia's birds of prey whilst identifying their habitats and habits. Water and land care experts were also contributing to the event, explaining the importance of protecting our precious reefs, understanding how the impact of our environment contributes to our natural resource and way of living. Many guests and participants of the event enjoyed the day, experiencing all that the Open Day had to offer.
I think it's an incredible initiative by the Townsville City Council to open the Sustainability Centre to the people of Townsville to see what their own backyards look like. Because the Sustainability Centre is an outstanding, I guess, model for the city. You know, you've got the coastlines and the coral reef and the foreshore at the front. You've got these amazing wetlands at the back, which you can access through the boardwalks. You know, you've got different savanna type environments, woodlands, and the way that the technology integrates with nature, I think is an outstanding opportunity for the city to learn about how they can actually live a beautiful lifestyle, yet learn and do things to their city in a way that helps preserve those environments for the future.
This one-day event has surely raised awareness in regards to home ergonomics and will definitely benefit the lifestyles of all who attended this occasion. Reporting from Townsville, Australia, this is Morgan Goodfellow, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks for that report, Morgan. It's time to reward ourselves with a few satisfying bites. Grab your apron and let's get to work as Ika shares with us her recipes for bruschetta and apple galette. Only on Behind the Counter.
Some people think that cooking delicious, aesthetic, mouth-watering meals takes tons of experience and can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Hey, I'm Ika and I love food. I love watching cooking shows, trying new food, and recently I was inspired to cook a lot more too. Join me as I take a look behind the counter to see easy and healthy meals be brought to life. First up, we have bruschetta, a small appetizer comprised of toasted bread, rubbed with garlic, and topped with tomato and other vegetables. It requires 6 ingredients, 3 minutes prep, and 8 minutes of cook time. Next, an apple galette, a pastry dough with a sweet apple filling that can be topped with an optional ice cream of your choosing. It requires 5 ingredients, 15 minutes of prep time, and 1 hour of cook time. Hopefully this inspired you to go behind your own counter to make these dishes, or even tweak them to make them your own. Check the description below for the full recipes, and if there's a recipe that you want to try, let us know in the comments below. Catch us on eaglenews.net, on our Eagle News YouTube channel, and on our Eagle News Facebook page. Check back next week when we go behind the counter.
Thank you for watching. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot. Until next time.